Ron Paul is get some help from his son, Senator Rand Paul, today, as the two of them campaigned in Des Moines earlier, just about an hour ago. Did he take a holiday break because he is confident of winning or because he's giving up? Mark Halperin, senior political analyst at Time magazine, also an MSNBC senior political analyst, and all about campaign reporter. And I can't even imagine the schedule you've been keeping. Mark, Ron Paul, you just came from the event. How was it calibrated? Was this your typical Ron Paul event? There was a big crowd?
Pretty typical, a large crowd, intense crowd, more intensity than you see at most of these other candidates' events. Young crowd, a lot of people there who I don't suspect are going to participate in the caucuses. Either they're not Iowans or they're too young. But, you know, Ron Paul has a message that's inspirational to young people, and I don't think we should discount that in any way, whether he wins, plays, or shows tomorrow. It is an inspirational, passionate message, and everybody should want more of that in politics, regardless of whatever else you want to say about a candidate or candidacy.
Where does he go from here? Do you think that he could actually win the Iowa caucus?
I think he could, but I doubt it. I think he's more likely to be third than first at this point. There's a ceiling on his support. There's been a lot of negative advertising and voter communication, some of which I don't think has been fully reported out yet in the last couple of weeks. And I think that the regular caucus goers, the people who caucus every 4 years, regardless of who's on the ballot, I don't think he'll find much support amongst that group. Passionate supporters, I don't think they're all going to turn out, and a lot of them I don't think are eligible to be in this caucus, even though you can see him in an event, you can see him out on the streets.
Ann Seltzer was telling me earlier that there's just this precipitous decline. As Santorum was surging in the last couple of days of the poll, you could just see Ron Paul going down. Is that partly because of Iran, foreign policy concerns, that he's not really material to be commander-in-chief?
I think that is probably not as big a deal for a lot of Iowans as it is for people in Washington and in politics, and certainly for the candidates. Michelle Bachmann has been real outspoken on that, as has Mitt Romney and some of the other candidates. I think it's more an electability issue, less offense at the positions than the notion of it's time to pick a president, it's time to vote for someone who can win a general election if you're a Republican and can serve as commander-in-chief. And I think overall, Ron Paul has challenges there. Again, outside the core group who supports him, there's an intensity amongst that group, but I don't think it's going to translate unless the turnout's extraordinarily low. I think it would have to be below 100,000 for Ron Paul to be able to win.
Under what scenario does Mitt Romney not get this nomination?
Well, I'm playing a lot with that and asking a lot of sources. I think the way he doesn't is if he's wounded here. Maybe he finishes third, maybe a weak third, or loses to Rick Santorum, and people in the party question, can we really nominate someone who can't win against someone so underfunded as Rick Santorum, weaker than expected showing in New Hampshire, and then loses South Carolina to someone and causes angst within the party. It's certainly the case that after here, even if he wins, a lot of conservatives are going to say, look, 75% or so of the party doesn't want Mitt Romney, but he still has to lose to somebody. And right now, I think the two people best positioned to beat him are Rick Santorum and Newt Gingrich. And neither of them has a clear path to the nomination. The most likely scenario is he's knocked out quickly. That seems unlikely at this point. A long fight plays to Mitt Romney's strengths. He's got the resources, organization, and money.
Mark Halperin, continuing on the trail. Thank you.
I would say it was love at first sight.
Not the first one.
Rose, not the. We met over the federal budget.
How unfortunate.
Yeah. There's this guy in New York, Alan Greenspan. He's on Wall Street, and so I just called him and said, "Can we talk about the budget?" It was not exactly a very sexy come on, but.
But it worked.
But it worked. Well, it took a number of years.
So do you remember that phone call, or was this just one of many thousands of reporters who called you for?
You can get a phone call from Andrea Mitchell with that sonorous voice and not remember it. I
see why I married him.
Spoken like a true insider. No, Alan Greenspan was a disaster. Everybody in Washington, liberals and conservatives, said he kept interest rates too low too long. Of course, the solution was lower them even more, and they think that's going to solve our problem.